All right, welcome back everyone to Nadlin Forum Podcast Daily. I'm Ruby Sturt, joined as always by Lior, and we're diving into a topic I've honestly found way more dramatic than I ever expected: flood insurance. Now, if you're like me, you probably thought, flood insurance? Meh, don't own a kayak, not my problem. But then I started digging into the numbers. Get this, the National Flood Insurance Program, or NFIP, is covering over $1.3 trillion in insurance right now, with some 4.7 million policies across 22,000 communities in the US. That's wild, right?
Yeah, it's huge. And it's one of those things that it always feels invisible until, suddenly it's not. You only hear about it when premiums start jumping or a big flood hits the news. Especially with the new FEMA Risk Rating 2.0. This whole thing about pricing based on property-specific risk, it's meant to be fairer, right? But a lot of people are just shocked by their new bills.
Exactly. I had this chat with a homeowner in New Jersey, not far from the shore. Lovely bloke. He was telling me last year his annual premium basically tripled overnight. I remember sitting there thinking, did he add a pool or something? But nah, it turns out Risk Rating 2.0 just totally recalculated his risk and boom, his costs shot up. It got me looking into what actually determines these prices. And honestly, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that most people don't get told. And for some folks, it's becoming really unaffordable. I mean, people are being priced out of coverage they genuinely need.
And let's not forget how many communities are involved. I think that's what people miss. It's not just the southern coast or, places like Florida we always hear about. This is everywhere. New York, New Jersey, even spots along rivers where nobody expects it. It becomes this accessibility issue, right? Premiums have been going up. Some people can't get policies, others drop out. And if you're in the real estate or mortgage world, you know how much of a headache it is when sudden premium hikes threaten deals. Where was I going with this? Oh, right, that risk part. Sometimes you don't know you're in a risky area until the new bill lands in your mailbox.
Totally. Which brings us to why there's so much buzz around Senators Booker and Cassidy's push right now. They're after a full overhaul of the NFIP, and they want everyone's 2 cents before they bang the gavel on this. We're talking capping premium increases, so nobody wakes up to a surprise 300% hike. Plus, this new affordability program they're pitching. If you're low or middle income, the plan is you'd get more support, and there's options to pay in ways that work for you, not just one size fits all.
Yeah, and they want to expand the base coverage too, not just leave it stagnant. More limits for what's protected, a bigger safety net, and maybe the most interesting, at least for people like us who love the nitty-gritty, is the push for more transparency in how costs and claims are calculated. Claims get complicated fast, so knowing where your money goes or why your premium is what it is actually matters, especially when you're juggling a mortgage or trying to close on a property.
And this whole thing comes with an open feedback period. Senators Booker and Cassidy aren't just sitting in a back room writing rules. They want stories, the messy details. So, if you've dealt with a wild premium or suffered through a property risk reassessment that upended your budget, there's literally an online portal for you to vent, suggest, or just tell your side. That's running until September 15th, so there's actually time for people to weigh in and maybe change the direction of this bill.
I love that. In New York real estate, I've been through deals where flood insurance was the X factor. One time, a buyer almost lost a contract just because the cost got recalculated last minute. Totally derailed the numbers. And if these reforms can make costs more predictable or at least cap those swings, I think it could give both buyers and sellers a lot more confidence. Plus, if it's easier to understand, you can plan ahead. I mean, even just being able to explain things to a client without sounding like you're making it up would be a huge win.
Now, the really fascinating bit is how this isn't just about insurance, it's about long-term resilience. A big piece of the reforms is to funnel more into pre-disaster mitigation, basically strengthening homes, businesses, whole communities before disaster hits. We've talked about planning ahead in some of our earlier episodes, but here it's almost a double whammy: make insurance more affordable while backing bigger investments to lower risks at the community level.
And with climate change, every year the risk shifts, sometimes faster than people realize. The challenge now is, how do you balance affordable coverage for everyone, especially when the risk keeps moving? If we don't update the NFIP, the costs all keep rising and people in high-risk areas could be left uncovered. On the other hand, pour too much money into risky places and premiums might be too low to cover what's coming, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's not just an American problem. Other countries balance this stuff too. Some push hard on community adaptation or shift risk through different models. So I guess the big question for all of us, listeners included, is who should carry the risk and cost? Should taxpayers always step in? Should it be handled privately? Or is there a better hybrid? And what's the fairest way to keep people protected without breaking the bank?
There are no easy answers. But the more open we are to new solutions and the more we hear from people on the ground, like what Booker and Cassidy are asking for, the closer we get to something that actually works for everyone. Building resilience isn't just patching the holes, it's rethinking how we plan for the risks we know are coming.
We'll definitely keep tracking where these reforms land, and we want to hear from you too. What would make flood insurance actually work for you or your business? Drop us a note and stay tuned, because the next few months might really shake up how we think about risk and protection. Leo, always great talking this stuff through with you.
Same here, Ruby. Appreciate your stories, and I think we all learned a bit today. See you next time, everyone. Have a safe week.
Catch you next time on Nadlin Forum Podcast Daily. Bye.